Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity. In fact, I'm loosely connected to a project that could potentially generate hydrogen on a ship, and we've got some very good warm interest in that from the fraternity. But I think it's the biggest polluter, and the colossal amounts of money they spend on fuel, it's frightening. When I first dabbled into this industry, to this sector, so the yes, I think it's a huge opportunity, and it's one that the marine the IMO should focus on. And I know it's regularly put in your magazine. I read it with great interest. And as I say, I'm loosely connected to a project in that arena, and the uptake is quite of some significant interest, and the impact could be huge, colossal, in fact. So yeah, I really do think that needs some deeper diving on that one, particularly when it's on board and from a very simple kind of principle that is being deployed. But maybe that's he took it off, Pete, but it's a very good question.
And when you are on that journey, Simon, perhaps that could be an expansion of your new academy as well on the waterways around Birmingham for some real-world examples. I look forward to seeing that. Hannah, let's come to you for your perspective on this. We haven't put a question to you yet.
Yeah, so I can't comment from an H2 Accelerate perspective because we're focused on trucks, but our consultancy does a lot of work on marine and aviation sustainable fuels as well. I think for the really heavy shipping routes, we see that gaseous hydrogen is probably not going to have sufficient energy density to meet the needs of those really heavy routes. And so you're probably going to see alternative fuels. At the moment, the thinking in the sector is either ammonia or methanol, depending on whether you have a greater fear of the safety considerations around methanol or a fear of trying to source policy compliant carbon. There is policy in Europe to drive the decarbonisation of shipping. That's under the Fuel EU Maritime Directive. There are some issues with that. So there's an article which basically allows the mandates for RFMBOs, so that's like green hydrogen based fuels, to be cancelled if there's not sufficient. I think there's also challenges around the pooling of credits under that mechanism, but the ambition is there. The ambition to include fuels based on renewable hydrogen, not just biofuels, is there. In the short term, we might see LNG, but eventually we're going to have to move away from that because it just can't meet the emissions reductions requirements. In the UK, we're currently lacking a similar policy, so I think copying the EU's homework would really help us out here. And we're also looking forward to seeing what the IMO says on this topic as well.
Fantastic, thank you, Hannah. And Charlie, any take from you here on this this kind of marine and shipping?
I'll just reiterate what Simon said, and that is that it represents a tremendous opportunity. I did say earlier that Cespira is looking at some of these off-road high fuel use markets, marine being one. We're in the middle of a 2-year project right now with a major locomotive manufacturer for hydrogen and rail, but marine is certainly one of those applications that could lend itself quite nicely to hydrogen.